The next grouping of bandings I want to talk about are half diamonds and diamonds. It's a very popular motif dominating a lot of federal furniture. And it lends itself well to various production methods, easily by hand in a small shop or in a more power tool setting for multiple, limited production runs. If you look at the illustration on your screen of the half diamond, it sort of tells you the process that we're going to follow for this. We have two layers of equal thickness glued together, and they'll be sawn off at 90 degrees perpendicularly to generate basically one square on top of another. They'll be angled to 45 degrees, glued up, and then with a hand plane, the sharp peaks will be taken off and the veneer will be skinned. The pack will be skinned, forming the banding. And that's the essence of basically making the half diamond banding. It goes fairly quickly, and it's a nice, efficient process. If we were to repeat that process, but add a third level, where we have a light level, a dark level, and another light level, and repeat the process, once again cutting them off into units, angling them at 45 degrees, gluing them together, and then leveling them off, we can see that that forms for us a center square. Basically a square diamond where each internal angle is 90 degrees. Now, variations can occur, and these variations that I'm talking about now, at least to my knowledge, can only happen if we're doing it with hand tools in terms of getting the shape. If I change that angle over further and I cut it at 45 degrees, slicing them in an angle, forming diamonds, angle them further, glue them one to the other, you see how it starts to form a narrow, longer diamond. We can increase that angle even more, cutting it down to 30 degrees. Repeat the process, and once again we get a narrower, longer diamond. So by changing the angle of the cut and reassembling, basically we are changing the size of the diamond. And it leads to a nice aesthetic choice for what you want to build when you're making these bandings. Now, getting away from the theoretical, let's show how this actually happens in the real world. On this first banding, although of different colors, basically pieces were cut at 90 degrees and laid over it and cut. Now this is holly and English walnut, but on this example of holly and mahogany, you can see how it resulted in basically a square on point, 90-degree angles on the inside. If instead of cutting those pieces at 90 degrees, I cut them at 45, you would see how we now have basically a diamond. A lot leaner, a lot longer. If I choose to cut it even further, you can see that the diamond gets still longer and still leaner in the middle. Now I've cut several of these pieces. I want to show you how they go together. These three have already been glued. And basically what I'm using here is, once again, a rub joint. So I'm going to put a little glue on my piece. Set it down. Rub it in place and let it tack. And I'm just going to repeat this process again and again, just putting it on the top two rectangles. That's the only area that I need to have adhesive. And it's really nice, when that high glue locks in, it just all sliding stops and the piece just engages where it needs to be. And I'll look at it periodically. I'll set it up there and make sure my diamonds are in line with each other. And I'll check at both sides as well, making sure they're good. So this would be the beginning of the core, and I would just extend it, extend it, and extend it. This is my glued up assembly. What I want to do next is plane one side flat. That'll enable me to put on a skin layer of veneer, and once that layer of veneer is on there, it'll be a much, much stronger assembly. And it's actually a very easy thing to plane because with the grain laying down as sharp as it is, it just planes right. Now, for doing this, I like to use a fairly large plane because the body of the plane will help hold the pack flat. I don't want to buckle it. I really want to try to keep it down. So I'm going to go ahead and plane this flat now. And for this, I'm going to use a number 7. The mass will help hold it down, and it should take it down fairly quickly. As I'm doing this, basically I use the thickness of the V's that are remaining as a depth guide. Here they're just about gone. That tells me I'm getting very close. Here they're still fairly pronounced. Tells me I need to take more off the end. I'm going to keep planing it down until it's basically flat with just the line remaining. Now here we're down to basically having a flat edge with the diamonds showing. I actually went a little aggressive in a few spots, but on edge it really won't show. That's not going to be a big deal. So what I want to do next is glue a layer of veneer down to this to bind the whole assembly together. And then basically I'm going to repeat that process and plane the other side.